Good morning everybody, it's little old me. Do you remember a little while ago I did a video about a thing called monoculture? Monoculture is when you grow one crop, one animal, and as a result, oh, you fell down a hole there, as a result it dominates the landscape and you lose massive biodiversity. Well, if you don't remember, here's a little clip. Over here, down there, there's a river. And along the river, you've got this barbed wire to stop the animals from going down there, but as a result of the barbed wire, it creates this miniature habitat. Over here, beyond the children, it's all field, it's all what's known as monoculture. This is just grass that's grown and it's going to be used as silage later in the year, or maybe they'll use it for hay. It's over here on these edges that you get this beautiful diversity of plants. You've got the cow parsley in the background, you've got a whole array of different flowers. From ground level all the way up to these big old areas here. There's wonderful comfrey, which is the food plant for the scarlet tiger moth. You've got reeds, you've got cow parsley, you've got just diversity of textures of foods. And as a result, if we listen, the insects, this is where they are. This is like a mini nature reserve. This is diversity. Whereas out here is blandness and nothingness, a giant lawn, a giant garden, where we can't expect nature to survive anymore because there's no place for it. We've flattened it, we fertilised it, we chop it all down a couple of times a year. There's no place for nature here anymore. Whereas here, richness. If we could only integrate our farmland into this wild fodder, if only we could encourage this to be created over here, to integrate wild landscapes and habitats and textures, food plants, the whole shebang, that will attract the animals back because it gives them a niche, it gives them places to live, to breed, to feed. That is no good. This is wonderful. So there I was, waxing lyrical about the wonders of these marginal areas, these habitats, chock full of diversity, the sound of the insects. This is what the landscape should be all about. Unfortunately, we then returned to it a week or two later, and this is what we discovered. Those gorgeous shots you just saw, that beautiful green diverse embankment, look, this tiny nature reserve beyond the barbed wire is now gone. It's been hacked back, it's been destroyed. All we've got left is brown nothingness. Look, this is where those scarlet tigers used to feed. These areas are where the beautiful peacocks and tortoiseshells and all of these larvae living on the nettles, gone, all hacked back, destroyed. But why? Is this vandalism? No. This is our desire, this is our traditions, our habits to keep things tidy. We think wild is untidy, so it gets hacked back. It's looked at that this will cause flooding as well, so it annually gets hacked back like this. The result, these last habitats, these last bits of biodiversity are lost as well. We do not stand a chance. We humans, we must change our ways. We must change our attitudes. What we think of as this green and verdant land, England, what we think of as this wild land is not wild at all. It's cultured, it's manufactured by us humans. And the result are the issues that we're seeing now. Flooding, loss of diversity, people throwing their hands up in the air saying, where's everything gone? Where have the animals gone? We've destroyed them. Our habits of farming and dominating the landscape have transformed it into a desert, an ocean of nothingness. And so we must change our attitudes. If in the future we're going to turn it around, we've got to change the way that we do things, the way that we think about things. Those tiny patches I just showed you were the last remnants in my area of wild diversity, of richness. They're now gone because someone has come along and decided to clear it for the sake of habit, for the sake of stopping the flooding. We've got to stop this, everybody. We've got to change our attitudes. We've got to speak out and say we don't want this anymore. If we want richness, we want diversity, we want animals, we want things in our lives, we want a better future for us and for our children. We have to integrate ourselves more into the wild. We've got to encourage these things into our lives. We've got to say to farmers, to councillors, to people out there, we don't want this division anymore. We need diversity on our doorsteps, in our gardens, in our fields. We need to integrate it into our farmland. I want to see richness. You want to see richness. If we're to stop worrying, complaining about lack of diversity, we've got to do something about it by saying that we want it back. And this is how we've got to do it. We've got to speak out. We've got to say we want to transform our landscape. We don't want hedges to be cut back anymore. We don't want verges to be flattened for the sake of being tidy. We don't want recreational areas to be mown, flattened, squared, to make them into fields, playing fields. No, we need to integrate with wildlife. This is how collectively we will create our children's future. Cheers guys, lovely to see you. I'll speak to you soon.